Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Check Your Minimap podcast. I'm your host, Threshold Breaker, but you can call me THB, and I'm joined by Ansem.
Hey guys.
Unfortunately, Blackout could not make it for this podcast. Today we'll be talking about the campaign related to Battlefield Hardline, specifically story, gameplay, replayability, and assignments, character development. So let's kind of roll into the story. Starting off, you're Nick Mendoza, the main character of Battlefield Hardline, right? Recently been promoted to detective of the Vice Squad of Miami PD. So all that being said, is it worth playing? Personally to me, I'd like to think the campaign is good enough to go through once, but it doesn't bring me back to want to do it again and again and again. I really got to be honest, I was disappointed with Visceral on this one. I mean, these are the people that brought you Dead Space series, Dante's Inferno, credible titles. Above average character driven storylines, you really got invested in the characters. To me, they misfired on this. I mean, Ansem, you can chime in at any point, man. I just, as a fan of Visceral games, I'm kind of disappointed.
I'm not a fan of any one, I don't follow specifically one particular company, but as a fan of games in general, and I know that Visceral is a high-end company and should be putting quality into their products, they seem to have fallen flat because their characters are hollow, transparent. They give no depth at all. Like, even the main character, I never felt the need to actually empathize with him. He says his mother died in prison. By the way, spoilers. Sorry, should have started out with that one. But there will be spoilers, guys. His mother dies while he's in prison. He gets screwed over by his ex partner, his current partner, and, his chief. Goes to jail, and while he's in jail, his mother dies. At no point did I ever feel the need to be like, oh man, your mom died. That really sucked.
Just his mom was never around in the game.
We don't
So,
even know her
and that's
name.
not, I'm not laughing because somebody dying is a horrible thing, but you don't get to learn who she is to care enough about her.
You learn more about his father and how much of a pain in the ass dick that guy was because he loved to come home and be a raging a-hole because apparently, if I remember right, it was a Cuban Secret Service, basically. The spooks of the Cuban. Suffice it to say, you learn far more about his father than his mother, but we're supposed to have this heartfelt, touching moment and be like, oh, poor guy, your mom died. Why? Never even knew her name.
I don't have anything to say to that. I was kind of glazed over even at that point when I heard it. I was just like, okay, who do I have to arrest now? Oh, and speaking of which, how do you arrest somebody when you're not a cop anymore?
Apparently, he smuggled his badge all the way through jail and continues to still have it. I don't know. You can't arrest anybody while you're breaking out of jail. You go through that entire fucking level with a taser, and that's it. Well, besides being able to punch people in the face. But you can't say freeze to the cop, which is okay. You can't say freeze to a cop. But obviously, they can turn the mechanic off because they did right there. You should never be able to do it after that. You're not a cop. You're a criminal. You broke out of jail.
Yeah, and then
It,
speaking of the entire campaign, we said spoilers, guys. We'll write into the title. It's 11 episodes. To me, it was roughly 6 to 8 hours. That was me trying to get, a majority of the evidence. And, you get more points for that. You can rank up faster. Ranks 1 through 15, they're all. See, the weird thing to me, though, is ranks 1 through 15 are expert ranks. Why were they never given police ranks? Like, I understand if you don't want to apply that to the actual multiplayer, but why not apply that to the single player? Because you have ranks in the game that are captain, sergeant, detective. I don't get why you're not just catering to the idea, like you're building on the idea more.
yeah, I don't know why they didn't put that level of immersion in. There's several layers of immersion that they could have used to bring you in and do all this lovely stuff, but they never really brought you in. They never made any characters have any serious backstory. So you can't get immersed in the characters. You're going about your stuff, and they have this collect evidence thing, which I barely did the first time and pretty much ignored any other playthrough after that. Why do I care? Why am I solving cases after I've been to jail? Okay, I'm supposed to unlock weapons. Okay. So I unlock all of these weapons, And to be a good cop, you really shouldn't be shooting people in the face to begin with. You
Well,
should be arresting them.
that's the other dynamic too, right? It's you can either play the actual detective role, or you can go in and you can shoot them, and basically roll through the campaign probably in like 4 to 6 hours, I would assume.
Yeah. But if you're the good cop, you unlock all the guns and all the
Right.
attachments, and you make it all super easy because you have everything in the game now. But if you actually use those guns and you don't focus on being the good cop and collecting evidence, you don't get half of that until you're most of the way through the story. So basically, happen people isn't going to help you shoot people. What?
So then, yeah, you're forced to shoot everybody because apparently, when one person sees you, people hiding behind walls or in houses just know where you are. I don't know if they have like a really good a radio system.
Yeah, they're all wearing earpieces. They got outfitted by the FBI.
But even that, like that, little details like that, you just don't know. You're under the assumption that they're all networking together and they know what's going on at all times with each other.
Well, the fact is by the time the guy is close enough, okay, so you're crouched or you're just standing in the middle of the open, and the guy's walking up and he's like, "Hey, that looks like a dude." And his little tiny "I'm seeing you" meter is filling up because they have this little meter of how detected you are, and when it fully fills up, it flashes red. You're detected. Everybody in the entire place comes after you. They hit alarms, etc. Whatever. Just before that hits, if you still haven't managed to go ahead and hit the melee button to like incapacitate him or something, all you have to do is flash your badge and all of a sudden it's over. That guy's like dropping his gun. By the way, who has a train gun on a guy, sees a badge, and just drops their gun?
Yeah, because aren't some of these people mercenaries? So
They're
what
trained
mercenary?
ex-military. See a badge.
What
Drop the gun. What?
That mercenary has probably seen worse shit in his day than Nick Mendoza who's come out of prison that says, "Freeze! I'm not a police officer, but I got a pistol on you. You have an AR."
Oh yeah. I mean, really, guys.
It's not believable, and especially when you have multiple groups of people with
Oh yeah, 'cause
assault
you can
rifles
freeze up
or
to 3
shotguns.
guys.
Like pistols, I can get. Like in the beginning, like in the first initial episodes, I could completely understand that. Like you sneak up on 3 guys, you flash your badge, possibly due to fear factor or whatever that they're making you assume. I guess those 3 criminals freeze.
Well, yeah,
And the
you
fact that
actually
you have
look
your
like
partner.
a cop. You have equal amount of firepower. I can understand that.
Yeah, but we're under that assumption. Like me and you are both making the assumption that that's the case. We don't know, but it's just a crummy mechanic, and it's repeated over and over and over till you're blue in the face. Or you take a different tact and you go guns blazing into every level.
Well, that's what when my first playthrough, I tried to do the stealthy playthrough. I tried to collect all the evidence. I tried to get the 100% basically. And I used flashing my badge as basically the easy button. If I was about to get spotted, just turn around, flash the badge while we're not actually getting spotted.
Yeah.
But after that, I actually decided to go through and play through Guns a-Blazing.
Yeah.
And until you hit level 4 and you get the M16A3, yes, it can be quite difficult to go Guns a-Blazing on the hardest difficulty. Once you get the M16A3, though, no. M16A3, G17, you can run right through every single level as long as you're not just standing in the middle of the open taking AKM shots to the face.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to touch on something like, with the exception of maybe the Everglades type level, which is Gator Bait, I don't really have a memorable or a favorite level. I mean, Independence Day, because it was the flashiest, is probably going to be, for the most part, the most memorable level to a lot of people. I would just make that assumption because fireworks and, you do the zip line, you get caught up by the helicopter, you get swung around, thrown into a building, thrown out of the building, and then the chopper lands, explodes, and you're on the street in a firefight. Which should have been longer. You had, what, 4 or 5 groups of guys who came out very linearly, like out of vans. Oh, look, there's another van. I wonder what it has in it. Oh, look, there's another car. What does it have in it? There was no dynamic.
No, there's they put a lot of effort into the thing by putting in like little Easter eggs and little this and little that. Like when you get thrown through that window, you actually have a moment to tell the entire SWAT team that you just surprised by coming through a window to freeze before it jerks you out the window.
Yeah, as a sense of humor, I'm sure, and then it rips you out the window.
Well, yeah. So I can understand, like, they put all of this effort into making it, and I forgive them for those moments. It's like, that's really corny, guys. That's really bad. But it's kind of funny. But there's other, like, the one-liners that they put in there, in the dialogue. Like, you could have done so much more. This guy does spreadsheets. Really? Or there's a episode, and I forget it, and I really should have actually wrote down which episode it is, but you're in a car chase. You decide to turn the tables and shoot up these cars that are chasing you because they're trying to kill you.
The infinite clip? You're talking about the infinite clip?
Yes, I'm talking about the infinite clip, the one we had.
Yeah, and guys, by the way, we're on gameplay now, just as a topic of discussion, just if we missed the ball on that one.
Sorry, yeah, we just bounce around a lot. So, you have infinite clip, as in your bullets never move. You never do anything. You never have to reload. I held the trigger for 5 minutes straight just shooting everything because it didn't have to stop. Like, you put in all these easy buttons, but at the same time, you basically destroy some of the most basic gameplay and any hope of getting a person to be in depth. They put out this product and they say it's going to be so great, but then they designed it to basically contradict themselves.
Well, how about, you want to talk about silly mechanics, right? How about the beginning of the Gator Bait episode, and I don't know the specific number, that's why I keep calling it the Gator Bait episode, where you're going in the armored SUV, right? You're driving towards the captain, right? That's the first, checkpoint. And the people who are driving into you are exploding like it's a tank.
Yeah.
What is causing these vehicles to explode? I don't shoot them. I don't do anything to damage them. I'm driving into them. Like, it would be awesome if the cars were destructible. Well, I mean, in the sense that they are, but I think what you guys get what I'm trying to say here is, like, you drive over it like you're a monster truck and, like, it doesn't explode, because that's kind of weird that a car just instantaneously combusts as it hits another vehicle.
Yeah, there was this, like, whole entire sort of getaway, shoot cars and explosions, like Michael Bay craziness, but you're just driving. That was it. There's just
there was nothing to it. It wasn't like there's explosive barrels on the side of the road that you push them into and then they explode, or you shove them off the road, they go off onto a ramp and go down, like, drop off the highway and then explode. It was stale.
I just pretty much held down the gas pedal and just looked at the wall and waited for it to be over.
Like, I don't know, like, wouldn't it have been cool to have some industrial-sized pipes that you shoot, as a distraction, that the guys pursuing you get blocked and then their cars roll behind you? That would have been a cool escape. And then you have to take on some, I don't know, mini boss or something to that extent.
Well, they could have done what they did in other parts, which is basically make you the passenger, make you hang your head out the window and shoot the other cars. And actually defend yourself. Like, why didn't we do that?
I think that, in my humble opinion, that was a very embarrassing part from a AAA title. And it's a new title. It still holds on to Battlefield, but it is a new style of Battlefield.
Yeah, there's many things that, I mean, I hate to just go over them and over them and over them, because, I mean, they're all kind of the same thing, but there's other parts in the game that are just completely, blatantly terrible. The NPCs don't bother to shoot when they're actually needed, and then when they do shoot, half the time they...
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
They suck. I mean, sometimes they do great. There's a part when you're going through the mall with your partners. Oh, it's right when you save Kai. When you go out that door, if you're quick on your aim, you can shoot the guy that's coming through the doorway. I shot him dead. Your ex-partner walks up and caps the guy, but there's nobody there because I already shot him. He's dead on the ground. But he walks up, goes, "Oh shit," and caps the air. And I was like, "What the?"
I'm a firm believer in if your friendly NPC is not going to contribute to helping you in game, then don't have them try to help you in game. It ultimately makes me less interested in the character, as they never do anything worth mentioning. And truthfully, your partner didn't do jack shit, either of them.
No,
Oh yeah, one saves her life. Oh wow.
The only time that a single NPC in this entire game really contributes, besides the random kill it bothers to get, which after playing it a couple of times, I'm almost positive I need to play it a couple more times to check for sure. But I believe they kill the same guy every time because he's in the same spot and they always shoot him in the exact same way. I'm pretty sure that it's predetermined. If you kill that person first, then they'll not. But that's the one enemy they're gonna kill. Besides that, the only other time that an NPC has ever helped you is in the flippin' infinite clip chase where you get to shoot without ever reloading, which was ridiculous. And then you have to dodge a subway. They don't help. They're completely useless. They might as well be like, let's go. And then as soon as you're about to move forward, they just disappear until the next cutscene. Because that's realistic. Because in the meantime, they're useless. I mean, at least they're not wandering around and getting you spotted for no reason. But they might.
I just want to be clear, guys. Like what we're talking about is we're saying that if you're going to put characters in that are supposed to be supporting role characters towards your main character who you are in the game, they should help you. They shouldn't do everything for you, but they should fill that support role. They shouldn't be tickling NPCs so that they don't contribute anything to you during a firefight or during a sword fight or during an air-to-air combat. I'm going across the board here, but I think Ansem, you're kind of getting where I'm going with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally the only time I've ever seen an NPC in Battlefield Hardline Single-player do a darn thing is they kill a guy who I am pretty sure that they are programmed to kill if you don't kill them first, or Kai throws a flippin' med pack at you every once in a while. Very rarely. I think I've had a total of 4, and I've played through the entire single-player. I'm on my 3rd run through.
Well, that's a good way to seg into replayability and the assignments. To me, and I mean to me, right? Like, unless you kind of share a mentality of getting all the ranks, which is you can do that through the first playthrough. That's really not a big thing. But getting all the evidence, solving all the cases, getting all the warrants done, to me, it's a one-time playthrough. The story isn't interesting enough. The characters are, like you said, shallow. I think, me personally, in episode 7, I think I reached expert rank 15.
When I was doing my first playthrough and trying to do the best, I know I hit max rank really early because I went through and I found every chunk of evidence. I arrested every person because, yes, arresting them technically gets you more points, which is stupid because it's easier.
Yeah, but to add to what we're talking about, expert level and we kind of grazed over this, but the scanner, which is the first thing you get in the first episode. Why weren't those cool things expanded upon? Like, you don't have to be the James Bond of Miami PD, but why were non-lethal tactics not expanded upon in this game? Like, I guess it's not as fun, but I feel like they could have done more with that aspect because they got the taser. They have, you can detain people. You can go through, like we were talking about, and go through and arrest individuals and so forth. But, like, not even like a rubber bullet gun?
Well, yeah, they could have. They could have easily given you like a beanbag shotgun or something like that. Because, I mean, to unlock everything, you have to be the good guy and you have to find all this evidence. You have to arrest people, not shoot them in the face.
I know, but then
doesn't get your point. But
right. But to your point,
lethal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't give you any non-lethal stuff. Like, you're getting all the stuff that the criminals would use, which is they put you on equal footing with the criminals so that you can combat the criminals. But it's like you would think
bonus points for using a beanbag shotgun, tear gas, and a taser.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a cool assignment, like a non-lethal assignment.
Yeah, go through the entire campaign with no kills, gets you. And just to touch back on this, why don't we unlock anything for multiplayer? Why doesn't single player affect multiplayer? It always did.
It always has. Always has in Battlefield titles.
Go through the entire single player without killing a single person, automatically get the taser unlocked in multiplayer. Super simple thing. It's like, what, $24,000?
Yeah, I mean,
It was something cheap.
I don't have an answer for you on that one. That's kind of like, what?
Oh yeah, it's just, why did you break from the norm and try to do this other thing that just flopped horribly? Because I've only played this single player so much because I needed to play it over and over again so that I knew what I was talking about, and for the life of me, I can't remember most of it anymore because there's nothing to remember. It's not that memorable.
No, it's not. It's not like you're gonna pull like. I mean, I know this is a drastic comparison, but okay. Well, let's compare it to, or we can compare it to COD because they have some interest. It's not like you're gonna remember Soap. Soap. I'm gonna butcher the guy's name, McTavish from the Call of Duty series.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I know we do this every time, but Bad Company, Hagrid, everybody remembers Hagrid. You can make a storyline that makes a character real to somebody so that they don't forget it. I remember Hagrid from Bad Company because he was fucking hysterical. Yeah, he was a pretty one-dimensional character, but I remember him because he was flipping hysterical.
Yeah, like why aren't they adding any good humor? Like comical, but it was supposed to be expected comedy, I guess.
Oh yeah, they could have had Boomer be a fucking just joke machine. He could have easily been a joke machine. They could have cast a comedian for his voice acting and just slapped him right in, and it would have been fine. Yeah, the first part would have sucked because it's all cops, but then you get Boomer and voila, jokes be had.
Yeah, so like as we're in character development here,
there's nothing
we're jumping around, but yeah, I mean, I think they were impressively voice acted, these characters, but that's pretty much where the characters end, at the actors. The actors can only do so much with what's presented in front of them. What's up?
I'm just gonna go with that. I could keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this stuff, but the fact is it really wasn't that great. Yeah, Battlefield 3 and 4 sucked in comparison. This was at least better than those ones. But people, we need real writing. You need something that actually makes your storyline rememberable, because that's what we remember. Remember what your attachment system in single player is. We don't remember how the game mechanics work. We don't remember any of that. We remember your storyline because that's all there is to it, and then we remember multiplayer because most of us only play single player a couple of times, and then it's done. You want me to play it again? Make it replayable. Make the storyline good.
Yeah, that's all we're asking. I mean, I'm sick of the excuse, we buy these games for the multiplayer. Well, partially true, yes. I'm not going to say it's not true. But what is the context of the game that you're playing?
Well, the fact is it's getting to the point, especially with Battlefield Hardline. And yeah, they held it back so they could fix it. I don't even want to know what it was like before they decided to fix it and held it back. But this game is not $70. I'll tell you that right now. Single player doesn't help. Multiplayer's got its own lovely set of issues, which we went into last podcast, and we could keep going into them, no problem.
Yeah.
But single player has to have some value, because a multiplayer game is not $70.
Well, because it's like, what if your buddy asks you, right? It's like, well, what was that about? Was it a good game? Well, the single player was kind of meh, but I played for the multiplayer. Well, that may be true, but if somebody asks you what's it about and you can't tell them, like you can't give a good argument why this game is good and why you wanted to go through single player, it's incomplete.
Yeah, I mean, the twist.
In essence, yes, it's a complete game. But what I'm trying to say is that we all want more reasonably more from the writers and the developers. We ask a lot from the developers, and that's been done through CTE and what have you on Battlefield 4. And I'm sure it'll continue through Battlefield Hardline series. But shouldn't that be the case for single player as well? I don't want a reoccurring yearly title that just is another, like a half-ass single player and a multiplayer that's halfway decent. If I gotta wait 2 years for the game to be produced, or 3 years for the game to be produced, because technically we played Battlefield 4 for about a year and a half now, I'm willing to wait. I would rather have a quality item than a quantified item.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'd rather have one thing that's good than versus 7 things that suck.
Yeah. This is the fact. Battlefield Hardline, perfectly a good game without the single player. You could have just lopped it out and saved me $20. That would have been fine with me.
Oh yeah, let's not forget the sequel bait though. Yeah, you You kill your former captain, who's possibly, and then you possibly take over the private security business that he wants to set up, right?
Well, he's gonna recruit you, and then he just leaves you the key. It's a really weird.
He doesn't leave. You shoot him in the head. Spoiler.
The fact is it's not got that great of a storyline, and if the graphics sucked, and if the gameplay was a little buggy, NPCs glitching through walls or something like that, if it just had little tiny things for me to critique, like, hey guys, can we get another pass on this really quick? Then okay. But for your storyline to suck is the death of your single. If you don't have a good story, don't bother. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. It's unnecessary after a while. I would much rather have a well-crafted piece of work 2-3 years in development than something that feels like it's been cycled out after a year. Even though Visceral said, I think they did work on this for 3 years.
I don't know. As far as
it was in one of the tweets. It says their hard work after 3 years. They're excited. I was taking a look at that when they were tweeting it out.
Because they started the project in 2012. But
yeah,
I'm just gonna go back, guys. The storyline sucked. You might as well not have bothered, because you guys ramped up your hype. So much hype was, hey, we finally made you a real single player. You guys complained in BF3. You complained in BF4. Everyone's, I want the Bad Company 2 fucking storyline. And you guys said that you delivered, and you didn't. Gameplay's great, but it's on par with the multiplayer. It's nothing different. Your storyline is one of the biggest glitches I've ever seen in my life. If you lived under a rock, it's fine. Other than that, I saw most of the twists coming. The last twist is one that you could never see coming, just because why would you ever do that?
Well, also because it's undecided, right? You don't know what he's going to do. It's up in the air. Are you going to go good or are you going to go bad?
Well, yeah.
That's what he's saying to himself. He's like, I'm partially morally conflicted, boom. And then I go down to the vault, which is filled with gold, money, and what have you. And he's like, holy shit. And then the game ends.
Yeah. I mean,
really? Really? I mean,
it's such a terrible ending, too. I just, I gotta say it again. Thank you for putting out something that was better than 3 and 4. Really. Thank you for doing at least that. You guys lived up when you said that this was better than Battlefield 3 and 4 storyline and gameplay and single player just as a whole. You did better. But the story sucked. When you're gonna say that you've made this phenomenal thing, you need to deliver on it, and you did.
Yeah. Okay, guys, and with that, I think we're gonna close this up. Again, my name is THB. I'd like to thank Ansem for contributing to the podcast. If you like the conversation or just want to contribute your 2 cents about specific subjects, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Next week, we're going to be talking about Battlefield 4 versus Battlefield Hardline comparison, why we're going to compare the 2 titles, time to kill, suppression, throwables, grenade types, new gadgets, and the Hardline Levolution. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast and continue to listen to us as the first season goes on. We will see you in the next episode.
See you guys.